We are about to start. Please have some patience and show some decorum here. I request Govindraj sir to please come on stage and Swalipi ma'am also to please come on stage.
A very pleasant good afternoon to everyone. Respected industry leaders joining us today, President and CEO FIIB Dr. Radhika Srivastava, Director FIIB Dr. A.K. Sinha, our esteemed guest of honor and panelists for the day, Honorable SSO partners, our respected faculty members, students, and the entire FIIB community. I, Kanchan Negi, and Rishabh Jain extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each one of you to the 15th Responsibility Summit and 31 years of FIIB's legacy of excellence and impact. Today's summit also marks the successful completion of FIIB's Social Internship Program 2026, where our students work closely with the organizations and communities across diverse focus areas such as persons with disabilities, gender equality, sustainability, education, public welfare, and social development. Earlier this morning, they showcased their learning, deliverables, and impact through the SIP Mela, where they presented their work, experiences, and outcomes reflecting their dedication towards responsible leadership and social change. We are truly honored to have such distinguished guests and partners with us today to guide, encourage, and inspire our students on this journey. Once again, a very warm welcome to everyone and thank you for being part of this special occasion.
This year's summit holds even greater significance as we celebrate 31 years of FIIB's legacy of impact and excellence. Under guidance and light of our founder Sri R.K. Srivastava sir, FIIB has achieved a decade-long tradition in delivering a learning, experience that is rigorous, relevant, and rewarding. As an academic institution, FIIB is committed to building a strong ecosystem that supports the development of future ready, responsible managers and conscious course architect. The institute lays a special emphasis on making societal impact so that responsibility towards the planet and adopting sustainable behaviors is at our core. Our mission statement, which states to create and disseminate knowledge that positively impacts society, is a testament to our commitment and to a responsible future.
At FIIB, we believe in making a tangible impact and driving positive societal change. Our commitment to responsible management education is deeply aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, especially SDG 4 Quality Education, SDG 5 Gender Equality, SDG 8 Decent Work and Economic Growth, and SDG 9 Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure. We are proud to share that FIIB is now accredited by AACSB, placing us among the top 1% of business schools in the India and top 6% globally. A testament to this commitment is our presence on the Hobbs School of Business SDG dashboard, making FIIB the fourth business school in India to implement it, joining 31 institutions worldwide. In addition, FIIB has earned the status of PRME Champion Institute, placing it among the top 50 PRME signatory institutes globally and one of only 4 in India.
Our commitment is reflected in our people. One of our senior, Ms. Mansi Kaushik, was appointed PRME Global Leader for Central and South Asia and was invited to United Nations General Assembly. A proud moment for all of us. Beyond academia, FIIB actively collaborates with impactful global networks. As a member of Responsible Research for Business and Management, we champion rigorous, socially responsible research that addresses real-world challenges. Our partnership with GirlUp, a United Nations Foundation initiative, empowers young women leaders through the FIIB GirlUp Club, fostering diversity, inclusion, and advocacy. In our pursuit of inclusivity, FIIB has also partnered with the Inclusive Divyangjan Entrepreneur Association IDEA to support entrepreneurship among persons with disability. We are glad to share that United Nations Global Compact Network India is our SDG outreach partner for the 15th Responsibility Summit.
These initiatives and partnerships are all driven by a single vision: to lead with purpose and create meaningful impact. It is this vision that shapes the theme of today's summit: Educate for Impact, the new non-negotiable. At a time when responsibility can no longer be optional, education must move beyond knowledge dissemination to create measurable, meaningful change. Through this platform, we aim to amplify the voices of change makers, nurture responsible leadership, and catalyze innovation that not only transform businesses but also strengthens communities and industry at large. To set the tone for this impactful gathering, it is now time for the welcome address. It is my privilege to invite Program Chair Academics Dr. Purnima Rao, Program Chair Employability Dr. Sudhi Sharma, and Professor Snigdha Malhotra, Head of Center for Responsible Management, for the welcome address. Please, ma'am.
Thank you so much for such a beautiful context setting, and it's such a pleasure to stand here and be a part of this welcome address. Welcome everyone, all the esteemed guests, all the dignitaries, all our students to the celebration, to a very special celebration of 31 years of FIB's legacy, as well as 15th Responsibility Summit that we have, it was conceptualized 15 years back. If I look back, somebody thought of responsibility back then. This year has been truly remarkable for FIB. We have been AACSB accredited. We became PRME champions. We also had got a level 4 transformative business school rating at Positive Impact Ratings. It has been a thrilled year throughout. This year's theme, very close to our mission, educate for impact, the new non-negotiable. It reflects something that holds very close to FIB. It is how social impact is woven around everything that we are doing, around the education that we are imparting, and around the belief that it is not only about the business education that has to be imparted, it is about the social values, the lens of ethics and inclusion that the students need to have once they become decision makers. It is about everything that drives FIB as its philosophy. At the heart of FIB lies its mission to create and disseminate knowledge that positively impacts society while cultivating responsible, good, and lifelong learning mindset. And this mission statement gives us 2 societal impact areas, which leads us to contribute to SDG 4, SDG 8, SDG 9, and SDG 5 as well, and instilling all these values across our students very proudly. I would not take much time. I would hand it over to Sudhi ma'am to talk about how our education, how our programs are delivering these values for our students.
Education at FIAB is transformational. Responsible teaching, responsible curriculum, responsible learners. We cultivate ethical decision-making, inclusive leadership, sustainable thinking, global accountability. So let me now talk about one of our strongest employability differentiator from the employability point of view, that is social internship program. Since 2017, SIP has evolved significantly from exposure-based learning to SDG-aligned engagement, from NGOs to corporate CSR partnerships, from general volunteering to structured impact documentation, from 18 SSOs to 29 in 2026, 1,637 successful SIP completions, 4 SDGs directly impacted. This is experiential learning with accountability. So this is the very important slide that showcase the enhanced impact metrics of social internship program. Growth tells story, 29 SSOs engaged in 2026, 29 SSOs engaged in 2026, 26 vintage NGOs partnerships, 240 ongoing intellectual contributions. This means our students are not only participating, they are producing case studies, they are generating research papers, they are documenting impact. This is structured employability. Now I am just showcasing, these are the SSOs as per SDG alignments, and these are the case studies that has been there. Pehchan, the student has been associated with Pehchan. They had created an app for Pehchan NGO. Dia worked with Steers Foundation. She used digital marketing to amplify social inclusion. Her work aligned with SDG 3, 4, and 10. She learned that marketing can create opportunity, that analytics can create access, that strategy serves society, that is classroom learning translating into societal impact. Now we have Daniel. Daniel worked on disability rights frameworks. He studied policies, court cases, global comparisons. He understood that inclusion is not theory, it is dignity. Vinayak worked in waste governance. door-to-door engagement, 170 plus households impacted, improved segregation, strengthened sanitation system. This is where leadership maturity begins. Asta worked with Radio Udan. She saw how media empowers visually impaired individuals, how systems amplify unheard voices. Now, Adarsh supported grassroots education at Laksham NGO. Sometimes, impact is simple, a notebook, a conversation, a child gaining confidence. You know that education reduces inequality long before economies does. Impact does not stop at student learning, it continues through research and scholarship. Now, I would like to encourage to scan this QR code in order to see the real outcome of students. Inside it, you will find student case studies, SDG aligned project, intellectual outcomes, ground level documentations, reflection that show transformation beyond textbooks. Each page represents not just activity, it's a accountability of the student. Not just participation, it's a outcome-based learning, purposeful engagement. I now invite Professor Purnima Rao, Program Chair Academics. She will taking care of complete program, and she will actually give you the insight that how it has been created in research.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sudhi, and once again, welcome everyone. Research at FIB is central to our institutional purpose. Our school is engaged in producing not only academic research for practitioners and academicians, but the research here, it's truly engaged in its meaning for the societal purpose as well. Over the years, we have built a robust and thoroughly designed research ecosystem, and that supports faculty, doctoral scholars, and students. And one of the cornerstone of our research ecosystem is FBR, FIB Business Review, making it remarks to becoming Scopus Indexed Q1 rating with ABDC B category, and with a site score of 10.5 and impact factor of 2.8 in just 7 years only. That's a great impact we're able to create. And kudos to all the team that has been taken all the hard efforts behind it and all the people who have contributed to FBR. Our faculty research portfolio, again, we have a center of CRM, responsibility management. The faculty research portfolio demonstrates the depth and diversity. I'll take you to that slide. The depth and diversity, specifically towards specific areas like ESG performance, renewable energy economics, sustainable leadership, corporate governance, green finance, AI in higher educations, and whatnot. And equally, FIB also have the doctoral program, and the pipeline of our doctoral research scholar is equally aligned to the SDG goals as well as the responsible research that we aim for, which also talks about the digital transformation, AI integration, green finance, blockchain for sustainability, sustainable packaging, and that's how the research agenda always look forward, forward-looking and societal relevant. Platforms, we have also been very, I'm pleased to help you and understand the kind of global academic speaker series that have expanded our international engagement, hosting leading scholars from premier global institutions and strengthening our research culture. In a sense, FIB's research ecosystem is designed not only to advance or focus on publication, but to enhance impact. Impact on policy, impact on organizations, impact on teaching and society. Our approach ensures that research is rigorous, responsible, and reflective in nature. And lastly, I would also like to help you in understanding the kind of weekly research engagements that we are having in the form of a faculty research circle. And also we have the Center of Responsible Management, which has organized this flagship event, SIP Mela today and Responsibility Summit. We have a inclusive reading room as well every week. All the faculty members associated with it comes and gather the insights with respect to encourage reading in terms of how responsible research can be built forward. And another important thing is with respect to the partnerships. Over a period of time, FIB is able to generate very important partnership with respect to the social sector organization, whether it's through the meaningful dialogues and impactful initiatives. One of them, such as Say It With Pride, advancing LGBTQIA plus inclusion, an inspiring disability sensitization session with India's first Paralympic gold medalist, Shri Murlikant Petkar. Walkathon for accessibility and inclusion, engaging 400 plus participants and many PWDs. Our Manthan, the industry summit, where the dialogues this year has been happened on AI-powered leadership. Meraki, the National B Plan competition, where one of the track is sustainability track, promoting impact-driven entrepreneurship. So these are the few partnerships and the engagement. You've heard about Mansi, you've heard about FI being one of the PRME champion this year and leading the top 4 schools among India. And that's how we are creating our effort, we are putting our energy to create an impact towards building a meaningful society for future. With this, I would like to invite President FIIB, Dr. Radhika Srivastava, to please come and kindly unveil this year's sustainability responsibility report. Thank you, ma'am. Please come. I would like to invite all the guests here as well, please, to join us on the stage.
Thank you everyone for being here. I think there's a QR code that you can scan and read the report. This report, we publish it annually, and it has all the different ways in which we are impacting education, impacting lives. You heard a lot about it in the welcome address by the 3 faculty members. So in our teaching and learning practices, in our research, as well as in our community building initiatives, how are we looking at our role, and how are we using our students as a vehicle for bringing out about that change. So encourage everyone to please go read that report, and we'd love to hear your comments. If you go to our website, there is a page that calls for comments, ideas on how we can do better. So very happy to hear about that. And I would also like to take this moment to congratulate and thank the entire FIB faculty, teaching, non-teaching staff members for the phenomenal work they've done. Our students that have partnered in this in a very, I wouldn't say unquestioning, they do question us, but in a very collaborative and mindful way. And I would also like to thank our alumni who are shining out there, and through them we are shining. One such representative today is with us, Ms. Swarnlipi Mehti, and we'll be hearing from her in a short while as well. But thank you so much, and a big, big gratitude to all the dignitaries, all the guests, everybody who's taken time to be with us here today and help us celebrate today. I also wanted to address the students. We've got 600 students, and there's I'd say a handful sitting in this room right now. But in every classroom where you're sitting and this is being live streamed and you're watching this, thank you for your work. Thank you for making us proud. So glad that we are here collectively celebrating today. Thank you.
Ma'am, just a second. We are just joined by Mr. Praveen Khan, sir. He just received an award from the Vice President of India, and he has rushed to the event back. Sir, you may please join us on the stage for a picture.
Congratulations on the award, freshly minted award. We look forward to hearing more about the award and what it was when you speak. Thank you so much, Dr. Snigdha.
Thank you for such insightful words and for continuously inspiring us to make a meaningful impact through education and action. I would now like to welcome our esteemed guest, Shri Govindraj Sir, Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities, Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India, on the stage for his address. With over 3 decades of unwavering dedication, Shri Govindraj Sir has been a driving force in advancing inclusive education, rehabilitation and empowerment for persons with disabilities at both national and international level. His leadership spans key roles across advisory boards, governing bodies, and national institutions shaping disability rights and policy in India. A former national president of Saksham and a respected voice in the rehabilitation sector, his contributions have earned him the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Indian Association and the Living Role Model Award in 2021. His journey is not just one of service, it is one of transformative impact and enduring commitment to inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Shri Govindraj sir.
Very pleasant morning to everyone gathered here. On an auspicious occasion, let me thank the organizers, the authorities, the faculty members, well-wishers, students, everyone who are reason for this growth and existence. I congratulate everyone from the bottom of my heart. It's a great opportunity for me to deliver a keynote address upon the education and its impact. I have a small question, if you don't mind. We are aware that every language will have the consonant and vowels, right? Right, we are aware. All right. So how many vowels we have in the English alphabet? Right. All right. Actually, the English language has got several vowels, but the alphabet has got 5. Okay. Can you tell me any word which accommodates all vowels? This was the question for me when I was in the 7th standard, and I gained a hammam soap for that answer. Okay. So can anyone? Exactly. Right? Education. Right? So I can also present you the soap, but a different one. Right? Okay, so education has got all 5 vowels within. Right? So how do we treat, or what is the difference, or what is the nature of a vowel and consonants? Vowels are known as a live sounds, very lively, and consonants could be described as a physical, right, which depends of the life. Right, as human life, the human needs physic and the life into it. Otherwise, it will become, right, meaningless or lifeless. Right, so let me put it in very short. I don't want to consume much time since a lot of events are planned today. See, vowels, right, all vowels are within the word education, not as an accident one. We should realize the liveliness of the word matters a lot. Vowel doesn't face any obstruction. Right? When you pronounce vowels, we can experience it will not face any obstruction. It will have a free flow. Right? So if you pronounce the vowel, definitely you can see the vibration. Would you like to experience? But this, I think we don't want to make it as a class now, but you can practice it later. It will have its vibration, its own vibration, right? Unobstructed, with free flow, but with vibration, right? Without any stress and pressure, right? So 5 vowels, 5 features. Can you understand? How does education serve our humanity? Right? It relieves you from pressure, stress, with vibration, free flow, unobstructively. Right? So this is the nature of the education. So we need to disseminate it to others, keeping knowledge within ourselves will not fetch any good result for us and others. So imparting is important. As we import knowledge, we need to impart to others, right? So with this message, I thank everyone for honoring me with this opportunity. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you for your insightful words, sir. May I please request Dr. Radhika ma'am to felicitate sir with Leadership and Responsibility Award. This award is presented for his contribution and leadership for his 3 decades of distinguished service in advancing inclusion, education, rehabilitation, and policy advocacy for persons with disability, and for his dedicated leadership in strengthening national institutions dedicated to empowerment and social justice. Thank you so much, sir. It was great honor and privilege to have you here with us.
I would now like to welcome our next guest, Ms. Swalipi Maiti, Executive Director, Water Power Systems Private Limited, on the stage for her address. Swalipi Maiti, the visionary Executive Director of Watt Power, has illuminated the path of progress in India's solar energy sector. With over 15 years of dedicated expertise, she has sculpted Watt Power into a formidable presence in solar inverter manufacturing, from pivotal roles in engineering, procurement, and construction to strategic leadership in Indian and Southeast Asian markets. Swalipi's pursuit of excellence drives the industry towards a sustainable and empowered future. A luminary in renewable energy, she harnesses the sun to power dreams and light up lives. A great round of applause for Ms. Swalipi Maiti.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words, and I'm extremely glad to be here. And very unlikely of me, I am very nervous because I'm very used to sitting on the other side, not here at all. So coming back after, so I think this responsibility summit started with our batch, and so I'm coming back after 15 years now. It had been a wonderful journey for me, and it all started here. So I pursued solar as an industry for my career, and it was basically mentored from the professors in this campus. So it's an overwhelming feeling for me. The the campus not only gave me an extremely, good career, I got a life partner also from here. So when I was invited to come back and couldn't make it this time, so I thought, why not bring Suman along? So I won't take much time, but three things that I have gathered, or while we were just driving towards the institute, I was thinking, okay, I mean, I'll have to deliver something, have to say something to the students, and the future colleagues possibly. So I would like to share my experience or what I took back from this campus. So I think I took back 3 words which had curved my entire path. 1, value. Whatever you are doing or not doing, or deciding to be whether looked at or to pursue, you should see what is the value for you, and what is the value creation you can do. That is one. The second thing that was extremely important and helped me throughout is the second word, which is incentive. People look at this word with like, is it money we are talking about? No. Incentives is not only money. It can be kind, it can be monetary, it can be everything. But as long as you don't have an incentive, a right incentive to do something, it is impossible for the doing to be sustainable. So it is very important to incentivize yourself, to incentivize the team, to incentivize the entire workforce, to make sure that we are keeping on doing the same thing and probably better than the before. And the third thing, which was extremely important, and the most important possibly in our personal life, professional life, and everywhere, is people. At times, we kind of, miss looking at this, but without people, one, if you are successful, you won't enjoy it. Second, you won't get the success that you are looking at, because doing anything alone is not possible. So these are the 3 words, I call it VIP, had been my carving path for me, which has helped me, and this was my biggest takeaway from the campus. Thank you.
Thank you for your insightful words, ma'am. May I please request Dr. Radhika ma'am to felicitate Ms. Swalipi ma'am with Leadership in Responsibility Award. Distinguished Alumni. This award is conferred for her impactful leadership in the renewable energy sector as a distinguished alumna, driving sustainable solutions and championing clean energy initiatives that contribute to a greener and more responsible future. We are privileged to have such inspiring leaders with us today, whose journeys continue to motivate responsible leadership and meaningful social change. A great round of applause for all of them.
I would now like to invite our esteemed guest, Mr. Praveen Khan sir, Group Head, Sustainability and CSR, Spark Minda Group, on the stage for his address. With over 18 years of industry experience, Mr. Khan has played a pivotal role in strengthening CSR and diversity initiatives at Spark Minda, which has been honored twice by the President of India. He is a recipient of Mahatma Award 2022 and has been recognized as CSR Professional of the Year by ICSI. He has also been featured among the top 25 CSR professionals in India and named one of the 50 most influential leaders in CSR by the World CSR Congress, a member of national committees at CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM and IICA, and a jury member for prestigious CSR and disability awards. Mr. Khan is also a seasoned speaker who has addressed over 100 national and international forums. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Praveen Khan.
Namaskar. Thank you very much for the introduction. Very happy to be here, back to the campus. I remember a couple of years before when I was also studying in an B school, so a lot of conferences and lectures used to happen like this, and most of it were not taken away, but a few takeaways were also there. So with my limited understanding, and thank you Snigdha ji and FIIB for getting me here. I was told that education for impact, and that's the theme of the conclave that you have today. I'm not an expert for education, let me first of all tell you, but with my limited learning in the field, I'd like to share what is my take on education, and I'll be taking the reference of my country, India. So, India, while we all are aware that we are the fourth largest economy of the world today, going to be a developed economy, Viksit Bharat, we are talking about with an economy size today to 5 trillion US dollar and going to reach to 35 trillion US dollar by 2047 when we'll call it Viksit Bharat. And we are talking here about SDGs, we are talking about a lot of works which is very good at the country's end. Let me tell you about my understanding on education. So when I look at education for India, I look at urban India and rural Bharat. While urban India goes to school for quality education, a lot of Western developed learnings with the best of the infrastructure, quality that will add to their skill sets, help them getting employment, income generation, entrepreneurship, help them to become very good human being, fit in, customize in the society. Why do rural India go to school? And I'm limiting here it with schools because that is the foundation of the education for us. So I was reading a lot of articles, and one of the statistics says that rural India go to school for having midday meal, food. And that's something which I'm telling you with a lot of sources. While we have close to 15 lakh schools in our country, we are all aware about the gaps between the ratio of teachers and student, talking about rural Bharat. 11 lakh unfilled teachers vacancies there in India. I look at Nirmala ji's budget, 1,40,000 crore. That's the budget presented by her, allocated by her for the year, which is close to 4% of our GDP. We are one of the largest economy and the highest number of youth population. Is that sufficient for us? while China, with whom we are competing, they have allocated close to 6.2% of their GDP for education. We aspire to reach to close to 6%. While we allocate this budget, quite often it is seen that a budget for education is an expense. And what is the young India feel about? Do you all feel that the money that you are spending here in this college is your expenditure, or it's an investment that you are doing for yourself and therefore the country as well? Quality of education, 73% of class 7 students can only read standard 2 के टेक्स्ट को. That's about quality. और जब हम क्वालिटी की बात कर रहे हैं और मैं रूरल भारत में जा रहा हूँ तो उसकी बात करना बड़ी मुश्किल हो रही है. Why? Because 58% of preschools do not have toilet. 22% of schools in India do not have separate toilets, girls and boys. And that is why 30% dropout is also there in our country. AI Summit is happening in Delhi, Bharat Mandapam. I just came from there, I was there only. And while AI Summit is happening, one of the key requirements for AI is internet, the connectivity. 22% schools have computers in India. And do you guess that what is the percentage of internet connectivity in those schools? 18%. And why am I telling you all these statistics here? Because probably, I believe, the set of groups sitting here is comparatively a privileged group. And you are all aspiring to be the leader. We could see one of the leaders, your alumna, sitting here. And she took this responsibility to make it a greener planet, and she's doing it. And therefore, the expectation from each one of you is to think about all these problem statements and to make education accessible for Grameen Bharat. That is the need. Why? Because something written here that this is non-negotiable. Education as a foundation, I need not to tell you that this is something which is non-negotiable for us. Yes, I agree. To visualize the ROI of it, we understand business term when we study business. To visualize the ROI of it is difficult, but it comes. A lot of countries have seen it. I come from CSR fraternity, and close to 50,000 crore rupees is spent by Indian corporations in India, out of which 1/3 of the budget is allocated to education. Considering its significance, what is expected from us? Let me also talk a little bit about the right which Government of India introduced. No, I'm not anybody to talk about or to criticize about it. While right to education is one of the rights for all of us, I yet believe that rural India is struggling for survival. So it's a debate between right and survival. And we all have to stand for the rural India to survive. And education is the key. And you all are the catalyst for it. My compliments once again to FIIB for calling a conference on responsibility. And one of the responsibility which I believe that the privileged, educated, 75% lot of India has to take it to rural India. How will you do that? You would require a lot of collaboration. You would require a lot of enthusiasm, volunteerism. Govind sir is sitting here. He knows it, that how difficult it is to make education accessible for persons with visual impairment, speech and hearing impairment. We at Spark Minda Group, that's my organization's name, have employed 1,300 persons with disability in our organization. Let me tell you that there are perceptions that rural India cannot do it. Tribal population cannot do it. Persons with disability cannot do it. Hypothesis. I'm sure many of you would be doing your researches also. Do this research and you'll come to know you were wrong. They can very much do it. And let me tell you, we have a tradition of our education, and we all know that our education was the best, is the best, and should be the best. The onus is with all of you. Thank you very much for having me here. I leave you with this thought that what do you have to do as a responsible youth? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful words. May I please request Dr. Radhika ma'am to felicitate sir with Leadership in Responsibility Award. This award is conferred for his contribution and leadership for exemplary leadership in advancing sustainability, CSR, and diversity and inclusion at national level, and for shaping responsible corporate practices through policy engagement, institutional building, and thought leadership. Give a huge round of applause for sir. Wow. Kanchan, I think we all students present here are truly lucky to get such valuable insights firsthand from these leaders.
Definitely, Rishabh. We hope you have been gaining a lot of insights. As we continue our journey of impactful conversations, we now turn our focus for an engaging and thought provoking panel discussion titled Preparing for Responsible Business. What does tomorrow actually need from our classrooms? This session will explore the power of responsible leadership, sustainability, and innovation in shaping a better future. Our esteemed panelists, each a leader in their domain, will share their experiences and perspectives on how businesses and individuals can drive meaningful change on a global scale. To lead and begin this enriching conversation, it is our privilege to invite FIIB's CEO and President Dr. Radhika Srivastava ma'am. Dr. Srivastava brings deep expertise in business strategy, leadership development, and corporate governance, with a passion for transforming management education and bridging academia with industry. She has been instrumental in shaping thought leadership in the field of sustainable business practices and responsible leadership. As our moderator today, she will guide this discussion, ensuring a compelling exchange of insights and perspectives from our esteemed panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Radhika Srivastava ma'am.
It's my pleasure to introduce our first panelist. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the honor of welcoming a passionate and result driven leader in the field of corporate social responsibility and sustainability. Mr. Sumit Bharat sir, Chief Sustainability Officer at Blue Pine Energy. Mr. Sumit brings over 20 years of experience in building strong sustainability, safety, and environmental cultures within organizations. As a seasoned environmental and social professional, he has worked closely with global lenders and consulting firms, advising on more than 5 GW of renewable energy projects and overseeing portfolios exceeding 8 GWs. His expertise in ESG policy formulation, implementation, and compliance has consistently strengthened organizational performance and enhanced external ratings. In 2025, Mr. Sumit was honored as one of the top 100 Chief Sustainability Officer in the country, reflecting his leadership and impact in the sector. He was also named a 50 under 50 renewable energy leader in 2023, further underscoring his contribution to India's renewable energy landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Sumit Bharat.
It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Chandrika Parmar ma'am, Chair of the UN PRME India Chapter and a distinguished faculty member at SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, Mumbai. She leads the Department of Corporate Citizen and Experiential Learning Initiative that connects MBA and executive students with grassroots social organizations across India. Through this program, she has played a vital role in nurturing socially responsible leaders. As Chair of the UN PRME India Chapter, Dr. Parmar actively promotes responsible management education across the country. She holds a PhD in Management Research from Said Business School, University of Oxford. Her interdisciplinary research spans disaster studies, sociology of violence, environmental values, democratic theory, science and technology studies, and future thinking. She has also published widely, including impactful work on COVID-19 and ecological responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcome Dr. Chandrika Parmar.
Thank you, Kanchan. Continuing this, we have us other exceptional leader, Miss Nani Chauhan, a governance and social impact strategist and the lead of the Design for Impact wing at Non-Zero Design, India's best multidisciplinary design studio at IBDA 2025. With a strong background in governance, education, technology, and human-centered design, she brings a systems-level approach to solving complex social challenges. She has led digital transformational projects across government and development sectors, impacting over 80,000 students in rural and tribal communities. As a former Chief Minister's Fellow with the Haryana government, she has worked on evidence-based policy initiatives focused on education, public services, women's safety and health through her behavior first design methodology. Ms. Nani continues to build scalable learning ecosystems that connect digital innovation with real world impact. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Ms. Nani Chauhan.
Continuing this, we have with us another leader, Mr. Ejaz Shan, Learning and Organizational Development Specialist at Bal Raksha Bharat, Save the Children India, with over 20 years of cross-sector experience across corporate and development sectors. Mr. Ejaz brings a strong blend of leadership expertise and social commitment. He has designed and delivered high-impact learning programs benefiting more than 10,000 professionals across industries. At Bal Raksha Bharat, he focuses on strengthening leadership capacity, building organizational learning systems, and fostering performance-driven, cultural aligned with social impact. He also actively contributes to ethical fundraising and sustainable revenue models for NGOs. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Ejaz Shan. With such inspiring leaders on stage, we are set for an engaging and thought-provoking session. We hand over the stage to our respected panelists.
Thank you so much. I'll take it over from here. I've got the privilege of interacting with these four absolutely wonderful individuals who were just introduced. And my kudos to the organizing committee, Dr. Snigdha, Center for Responsible Management, for putting together such a diverse and panel of people from education to system design to corporate. We've got all the right people here, and the last speaker, Mr. Karn, gave out a call to the youth to think about how they want to contribute to India's growth and India's inclusive growth, I should say, not just growth. And this panel today will talk about what does education need to do to ensure that our youth is able to contribute to that inclusivity in our country and in a sustainable, in a responsible way. So for everybody, the topic for today is preparing for responsible business. What does tomorrow actually need from our classrooms? I thought just to make it interesting, to keep it fast-paced, first of all, I've got a clock going, so I promise you we will not run over the 40-45 minutes that has been allocated, and I counted the introductions within the 45 minutes, so we will try to keep this really action-packed for the audience with clear takeaways. We're splitting this into 3 clear segments. In the first segment, each of the speakers is going to be talking about a question that I have shared with them, which I thought would be appropriate given their experience, their lived experiences, their profile. In the second segment, they will be talking about a specific capability that they think is very important for us to be building into our students. A rapid fire round in the third segment, followed by an audience question. So we'll see how far we get, but that's the plan. So I'm going to get started here right now. You know, we use this word responsible very loosely sometimes, I feel. You know, responsible governance, responsible ESG, responsible management, responsible impact, etc. The question is not whether responsibility matters. And the real question is, when our graduates, and most of the audience today are MBA students, when our graduates, they are stepping into boardrooms, into project sites, into consulting firms, NGOs, startups, are they prepared to act responsibly when it is inconvenient? See, we can all act responsibly when it's convenient. But what happens when acting responsibility is more costly? What happens when acting responsibly slows down growth? Those are some of the tough questions I'd like this panel to really think about and talk about. And some of the conversation will be practical, it may be uncomfortable, but important for us to have. And for MBA students, I'd really encourage you to think about what the panel is talking about deeply. Think about what does it mean for you, what does it mean for your journey ahead, and for our teachers and non-teachers in the room, what does it mean for us and how we design experiences for our students. So we'll get started. I've got 4 panelists, and Sumit, you're sitting right next to me, so I'm just going to start with you. You hire MBAs into the high-stakes sustainability and ESG environment, Sumit. When you hire MBAs, what is the most dangerous blind spot you see in them?
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I hired a lot of MBAs, and let me start by saying that increasingly we are developing into a culture of instant. So we are the instant noodle culture, instant coffee culture. We have got reels which are giving us instant gratification in 90 seconds. So when we again come look into business and this instant culture culminates, we often mistake short-term return with long-term value. So it's like a intraday trading or holding a stock for blue chip stock for decades. So many a times the decision are being driven by short-term returns, uh, having shortcut versus looking at the long-term value creation. So this is one big blind spot I see that is coming nowadays. Whenever you take decision, think about years ahead, not only the financial return, whether it matches the value system of the organization that you are working in, it matches the value system of the organization that have taught you, it matches the your own value system, and take decision. Don't be afraid of saying no. If it does not matches the value system, in spite of giving you high short-term return, don't be quarterly return or annual return, don't be afraid of saying no. Have the courage, and it would be appreciated by the top management.
Thank you, Sumitji. So finding value matches, not quite falling into this instant noodle syndrome, and building for the long term, we take that from you. Chandrika ji, from the vantage point of responsible management education nationally, SP Jain is a established national school in India. Looking outside of SP Jain, not quite only from your school, but outside of SP Jain at a more general level, business schools, what do you think business schools are pretending to teach about responsibility that they actually are not teaching? And what do you think it really means for business schools to start doing correct?
So thank you, FIIB, Radhika, thank you so much, and Snigdha. Thank you so much for having me here in the first place. You know, when normally people ask me, what should we be doing to integrate responsible management education into, and you know, Radhika threw a googly by saying, what is it that this business schools are pretending to do which they're not doing? I think there's a default setting for business schools, and the default setting is that invariably some people think that you know, it's a rarefied upmarket placement agency, because you pay a huge amount to go through 2 years, and then you get placements, and students are expecting an ROI. I think that becomes the default setting for students, that you know, you are paying a huge amount to get in, and then it's invariably that placements will come first, and you know, the conversations that many of us have of integrating SDGs, responsibility, values, becomes a cherry on the top rather than something that's integrated into the ecosystem and the fabric of institutions. I don't want to say that because, because you know, what we teach them is not necessarily to collaborate, because that's not the language of business schools. We are teaching competition, we are teaching them shareholder value. We are not talking of stakeholders, we are talking of shareholder value, and the fact that at the end of the month or end of the year, there will be bottom lines. I think that conversation also takes place. So irrespective of what what many of us try, so we don't want, what we don't want is, we don't want things like SIP outside or DOCC, as we're talking about, or values to be a cherry on the top or an afterthought. The question is, how do we integrate that? And integrate that as a value system and literally a frame of the school, rather than, or frame of the curriculum, rather just being an afterthought. So I would say that that's something that when we're talking of business schools, and we're saying that needs to be much better integrated. The other thing I would also say is faculty. Faculty have to be an important key stakeholder. You can't expect that the students need to walk the talk, but the faculty doesn't need to walk that talk. Faculty as exemplars, somebody who's speaking the language of collaboration demonstrates that language of collaboration. faculty who speaks of humility, speaks that language of humility and values. So I think that dissonance that is sometimes there within business schools, and I think it's true for all schools, you know, the best and and that, because that's the DNA of a business school. And I don't know, I think those are some of the challenges that we all face, but how we integrate that. I'll leave it here and come back to it. I'm trying to be as honest as possible.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, that sustainability or the corporate social responsibility is not cherry on cake. It is the entire business in itself. Many a times in organization, sustainability is taken as a checkbox exercise. You have a rating system, yes, yes, yes. You have a ESG system, whether the site qualifies or not. No. That ways the companies cannot survive. It has to be integrated in your business case. So everything you do, every business decision you take, it has to be integrated in your business decision. There have been many times, I am into renewable energy projects and we develop site for our own consumption. There have been many times where we have let go of sites because it was creating too much environmental impact or there was severe social impact. Now short-term loss because we lost some time in implementing a project. Long-term gain, we saved 25-30 years of headache. So it has to be a part of business decision. It cannot be a cherry on top.
Thank you, Sumit. Thank you, Chandrika. I think you raised some very pertinent questions for both sides of the table, students as well as for institutions, especially faculty members. And I'd love to talk in detail more as we go on, and especially I'm looking at faculty members sitting here. I think they may have questions as we progress, specifically for you, in terms of the challenges they face when they are trying to do this. And you know, while we tell students sustainability is important, make the right decision when you're faced with tough choices, when the tough choices come, it also it is tough because they're tough choices. So, you know, how do they decide? What compass should they be using? Or how should they be using the compass? What compass we know, but how do you use that compass are questions that we'd like to revisit. There is this whole debate about, you know, students are here for earnings or they're here for learnings. And I think, I'm hoping some students, at least as we get to the audience round, will have questions around how do you really balance both. Earnings are important, that's why you're doing an MBA, but how do you also balance your learning, and especially learnings to be a responsible manager and a responsible leader. So with that, we'll actually move forward. We'll come back to some of these thoughts later. Neni, you work on systemic, large-scale design problems across governance and education systems. My question to you is, what capability do you see completely missing in graduates that are trying to solve for systemic challenges? And you've worked a lot with institutions that are trying to get to NAC, etc. So you've got a big depth of expertise around this, please.
First of all, thank you FIB and ma'am for having me. Honored to be here. In fact, I was thinking that I should probably be one of the students with everyone's expertise here and everyone's experience. But to your question, ma'am, essentially, I think I can take this back to an anecdote from one of the projects that I did right in the beginning of my career, which was with the Haryana government in women's safety. And women's safety is obviously a topic that everyone resonates with. I hope here as well, despite being a niche, I think everyone who's in this room is probably the top 5% in the country, and I'm being generous. So maybe even lesser, maybe let's say 3%. But what we found was we are essentially right now at the cusp of digital public infrastructure. That is an area that you can't really go wrong with. There is a lot of innovation happening, scale-wise, depth-wise, intensity-wise. So every intervention that the government aims to introduce or is introducing has a digital touch point. I think none of us probably are also aware of majority of the government welfare schemes and programs that are in the country. And let me tell you, on an average, every state has approximately 500 of those running. And we don't know about any of them until and unless you walk into a CNC or you walk into an Atal Kendra service center or any of these touch points that it is designed for. So essentially what we found was that the initiatives that we were designing, let's say in the Women's Safety Project, we based that intervention, an app, it was called the Durga Shakti Safety app, we based that intervention on a behavior pattern that was non-existent in the field. So we had a very rigorous research study, and I know that FIIB has a focal point on research, which is very important, as ma'am would also agree. It forms the crux of all interventions. And we had a very, very rigorous data crunch. We had a very, very rigorous data bank that we had to basically fulfill because of the data crunch. But once we stepped out in the field, we figured out that the behavior was entirely missing, and what the user was doing was entirely different from what we had intended the user to do, what we had wanted the user to do. So what is missing in classrooms, and again, I understand that teaching is a beast in itself, so I do, without overstepping on anyone's boundaries or anyone's toes, I want to say that behavioral legibility, so you can call that simply behavioral understanding, that is missing. I wasn't taught that. My colleagues, seniors, juniors, that's something we have all learned on the job. And again, wouldn't know how to incorporate it, not a teacher at all. However, that is something that I have not found to be in any textbook so far. And I am also still studying. I like to study still, but it's just a component that is missing, that unless if you're designing an intervention or program, even if it's not digital, you are probably designing it for the end mile beneficiary, let's say an Anganwadi worker or someone who is probably way below the poverty line. Do you know their behavior? I don't. Nobody in this room probably does. So from a top-down perspective, any solution that you design for them is redundant. It does not make sense. So any behavioral legitimacy, any behavioral, let's say, supposed pattern that you are pushing onto them will not work, and has not worked in my experience so far. So from all teachers, I would very much expect and maybe also request that if possible to include this in classrooms and curriculum on how to sort of preemptively gauge the patterns, gauge these behaviors. Because at the end of the day, I think it's a human pattern, it's a behavior. It's not something that's so out of the world that we cannot record or we cannot sort of assemble in our own minds. But yeah, that is something that I have found to be missing.
Thank you, Nene. Interesting point, especially, AI Summit is happening, a lot of AI noise, and we are talking about designing systems, analysis, etc., which AI is going to be doing. So at a later point in time, I do want to come back to you and talk about what is the human here that we need to nurture. What is that one capability from a human perspective, judgment, creativity, that we need to protect as business schools, as this is something that our students, non-negotiable, our students should be able to do. So thank you for that. Ejaz, very interesting career. You moved between corporate development sectors, you work deeply on organizational culture. So the question I have for you is, what does ethical intent look like in behavior and not just in PowerPoints?
First of all, thank you so much, Radhika, for having me here. I hope I'm audible to everyone. It's working, right? Great. So, when we talk about ethical, intent, many a time when we talk about this subject in the classrooms, in the management classroom, it mostly lies on the PPT, the slides of the slide, one of the slides. But in reality, it's a different ballgame altogether. Right? It's a different feeling altogether. Now, when I say this, as our careers progress, we get into a lot of different situations wherein we have to take that call, which we call as an ethical intent, and this ethical intent is not just a written value which is there on a policy paper. It is basically that you have, you've been doing it even when nobody is watching you. So, you have to be very careful about it, that, it is not only I have to prove it to somebody. It is for you, it is for me, it is for everyone. Now, having said this, since I'm coming from a different background, from corporate to the NGO, and I've been, been to different situations, I have lived those, different aspects of it. I'll quickly share, a couple of instances here to make it more clearer. Currently, though, I'm associated with an NGO, and majorly, my work revolves around the capacity building for the frontline workers, basically the fundraisers. And when I say fundraising, many of you have done this internship for the last 15-20 days, and you might also be a part of a resource mobilization, which is raising funds. I believe it's a tough job. Raise your hands if you really found it tough. Okay, great. Couple of my colleagues. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I'm sure the hands will come up. My point is that, you know, why I asked this question. It's a difficult thing. To be very honest, it's a difficult thing. Now, most of the time, these people who are working, you know, the frontline workers, the one who are raising funds for any of the cause, you know, they are working under a lot of pressure because they have a targets to meet, you know. Now, when I say this, there is a very humanly thing, you know, that comes out that, you know, if I overcommit something, you know, if I over-exaggerate the impact story, or maybe emotionally I can manipulate the donor so that I'll get a donation, you know, that thing do come to a fundraiser's mind. But ethically, you know, when I talk about ethically, we should not be manipulating the emotions to get that, you know, get your job done. I mean, that's not good. Now, you know, when I say this, let me show you one more instances. You know, we deal with a lot of different agencies, you know, partner agencies who kind of help us to raise funds. And we come across one of a very old, you know, agency who are doing wonderful job. But then, you know, we do not want it to collaborate with them. Why? It's because, you know, the policies that that agency had, it is little, you know, away from what we want them to use. You know, it is little unethical in terms of their approach, in terms of getting a donation. We would have lost a big deal there, a big deal. But, you know, at what cost? We really don't want to get into something which will have a negative impact on our organization. We don't want to do that. And lastly, I want to, you know, add on one thing. Many a time it happens that, you know, the organization we talk about, you know, sometimes you might find that, you know, we are not walking the talk, which means the internal culture might be a little different from what is the external communication, you know. And specifically, since I'm telling you because I'm into, you know, the development sector, you know, we talk about the equality, we talk about the, you know, the integrity, and a lot of other stuff. But if that equality doesn't come within the team, for your own team member, for your own organization people, you know, are you actually doing good? And it's not about my organization, it is not about any ex-organization, I'm talking in general. My point is that, you know, one should walk the talk, which means your internal communication has to be so good that, you know, it will reflect to the external bodies, you know. And for all you MBA guys here, you know, you guys will have a wonderful career ahead. But one thing that I want to tell you, that without this, you know, a very solid internal communication, you cannot actually build a business. You know, this internal culture thing is very important, because what your internal culture is, that will reflect onto the outer world. So, you know, that's just a piece of advice for all of you, all the youngsters, basically. Yeah.
Thank you, Ajaz. And that's exactly what this audience is looking for, some practical guidance, advice. So I'm going to just change things a little bit here. There's been a lot of interesting things, stones that have been thrown into the pond, and I'm seeing the ripples forming. At this point, I'd like to see if there's questions within the audience, faculty, students, guests, that would like to maybe dig deeper into some of the points that were discussed here. Dr. Saiba, you put up your hand.
It's actually not a question, but rather an observation to what Ms. Neni said, and I absolutely agree. Like, we have the Center for Responsible Management, we also have a Center for Behavioral Insights, and we absolutely agree that while we talk a lot about how things can be changed, but there's a lot of intention-action gap because we're not studying behavior. And I think at an education level, it is very, and which we are trying, inculcating how behavioral nuances can, or actions from the end of the organizations can actually bring in changes in terms of how people act. So I absolutely resonate with what you've said, and it's the need of the hour for all organizations, for education institutions to teach this to the students, inculcate this formally in the curriculum. Thank you.
Ma'am, you know, I'm so sorry. I'll just that's actually very good to hear, because in systemic problem statements, this gap proves to be fatal. We've seen this time and again. And with CSR professionals, people dealing with funding, let's say, guardrails, so to speak, and other sort of budget crunches, we know that every penny counts, and we just don't have the space to, let's say, incur losses that maybe the private sector does have. And that's where MBA students can come in and sort of step up with innovation and kind of bridge that gap, because now, at least in the last 20 years, and sir and ma'am can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but social sector has really stepped up in capital and skills in the last 20 years, which has been fortunate enough for me. But I think that's been a turning point. So hopefully this gap can be addressed in the future as well.
I'll probably carry on with the same point. This question is for Nani or probably Dr. Chandrika, or maybe I can divide the question into two parts. You talked about behavioral change, right? A lot of our students, while they're doing their social internships, they do get this project where they have to help a particular SSO to increase the enrollment in a particular school. But they could be the kids of a rag picker. Now for them, the opportunity cost is to not earn money on that particular day, right? And that's a behavioral change point. So I want to have the operational, side. Maybe Nani, you can answer. Dr. Chandrika, maybe you can help B schools like us, faculty like us, and students like our students. How can private B schools help in this behavioral change? Because when students are going to such internships, they do not have these 7 steps of behavioral change in their mind. So how can we, tweak our curriculum where we're also teaching behavioral change, because the projects that they do later on does involve knowledge of behavioral change, but somewhere are we really teaching them this behavioral change, maybe at a preliminary level or higher education? So I hope the question was a little long, but I hope my intent was clear.
In fact, I think I'll add to your question for ma'am, so that ma'am can help us here. But we did come across a similar problem statement, and essentially every district government schools have programs running called Super 100 or Super 30 that they pick out students that are meritorious and perform exceedingly well, so that they can sit for different levels of national exams and maybe push them for scholarships for government colleges or universities, or specialized in professional courses outside of the domain of awareness that they might have. So essentially the government sometimes, and the administration as well, partners with organizations, and sir might actually be helpful here, with implementation and execution agencies that on their own volition, or because they have the resources to help in executing this idea or thought, because the admin is also limited in doing this. So while we would expect the private sector to come in and help, or maybe students to come in and help and really see how they can be equipped in doing so, the roadblock does happen in, I think, information awareness and information percolation. Because if we can have the knowledge, we can have systems that are formulated in classrooms, and again, that's where probably ma'am can help. But where that gap also is partly in execution. So while it can be solved for in a classroom, it cannot be entirely solved for in a classroom, is my opinion, but that's what we've seen on ground as well.
So behavioral changes is one thing that's very difficult to bring about, in 20th century, only 2 things are where you've seen mass-scale public behavioral changes. One is smoking in the public, that too in Europe, and the second is seatbelt use, which comes with a lot of regulation. So it's not, behavioral change is not something that you seed and it happens. There's a lot of, we look all around us, we look at what's happening to waste, we look at what's happening to waste segregation. I'm sure it's there in every location, but we also know that it doesn't happen. In a country like India. So it's not easy to institutionalize. You spoke about sending our students and hoping that they can impact communities. I think, first of all, we've got to, I start, at least when I send my students into the field, I tell them to start, their starting point is not just to go carrying their knowledge or information that they have, and they're not consultants. It's a two-way process of going with what skill sets that you have to the community, but also listening and learning from the community. Because it's a two-way process where you've got to also, because the community also has a lot to teach you in terms of the everydayness. It's also about understanding, I mean, if you're talking in terms of behavioral changes, it's also about understanding what are why is it that people are behaving the way they are behaving? Why is it that you're doing, I mean, you spoke about the opportunity cost where people can earn. Yes, that's a reality. I think earlier, the individual from Spark Mendes spoke about midday meal being a trigger which brings about a behavioral change. So I think there are triggers and there are barriers that we've got to understand. What we can hope is to seed ideas and seed ways of thinking about ideas and behavior, and hope that some of the people, not 100%, not dramatic change, but some people will bring about that change. So we can then nurture and create ecosystems that nurture that way of thinking. So I'm not someone who believes that, you know, input and the output means behavior change. That's not happening. It's a very, very tough space to change behaviors, to change mindsets, to change biases. Your students go out to field, as do mine and many other institutions in this country, but if you look at them, they will have their biases and stereotypes about regions, about food, about communities, about religion. And bringing about that change in mindset itself is a big thing. So what I'm saying is, those are, I mean, I don't know whether we should call it behavior change, but I think those are basic ecosystem creation in building a certain kind of mindset. Breaking is a big word. You can help create spaces which challenge it, which expose them to different set of experiences where they need to sort it out for themselves.
So good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, as an MBA student, we study a lot about the ESG framework, the responsible leadership and sustainability. But my question to you is that what are those real world competencies, the real world exposures that must be integrated in the classrooms to ensure that the students are actually ready for the responsible leadership?
It's a very good question, and thank you for that question, because ESG has become a compliance and a regulation game. It's something that under BRSR and others, it's something that is being mandated now. It's being taught in the classroom because it is being mandated. But what I hope is that, you know, that many of you and many of the generation, you are not just recipients of ESG 1.0, but you are some individuals who will, and that's where your question comes. You are people who will be the architects of 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. And you'll set different benchmarks, which is thus not regulatory, but which is a lived reality. To come to your second part of the question, saying what do you embed into the, see, I think awareness is the first step. And I think the current Gen Z is a very, very aware generation. I also think they're very anchored. So it's a generation which can be split. Some are very extremely idealistic. The others know exactly what they want in that sense. So I think the exposure and what we can do is to create spaces both inside the classroom to create those hygiene factors in terms of your being aware, and contexts outside the classroom where you engage with one of those worlds, because it's lived. ESG is not something, it's not a tick point. It's not something that it's going to have real impact. So because also let's remember there's a difference between ESG, which is very corporate risk investment focused, as compared to CSR, which is about doing the larger, or at least says it's about doing the larger good. So we should be careful about not sometimes merging what is reputation management with really believing that you need to do good in that sense, or having purpose built into business. So we can just try and create ecosystems.
See, what we need to understand is ESG is not a checklist driven thing, right? Right. No, it's not. So what we need to teach here is business case of sustainability. So the question is, you are doing this, then so what? So we talk about CSR, corporate social responsibility. No, it's not a responsibility. Until you keep on looking at it as a responsibility, it would again be a checkbox. I have got this much fund to be allocated and this much investment to be made. You have to look at it as a social investment. So the moment you start talking about social investment, then you start thinking about the kind of returns that it would have. In your classroom, you should actually start doing case studies on what are the social investment opportunity, what are the kind of returns it would have, what would it have impact on the business, how is it going to integrate with the business. So if there are three kind of business that operate in the same region, ideal approach says that each of the three business would do need assessment of the region. They would identify that these are the needs of the community and they would start implementing it. Now that is a old thought. Now what the business are looking at is, where is my competency? So if I am into power generation, can I fulfill the power need of that region? If I am into water, can I fulfill the water need? If I am into education, can I fulfill the education need? So beyond responsibility, one needs to move into investment, and beyond checklist based approach, one needs to move into a case studies of business case of sustainability. These things should be taught in classes so that you can talk to your board, talk to the CXO level and influence their decisions.
But I will still intervene and say, I hope it's not a checklist. But we also know that there are a lot of greenwashing, from where a lot of skepticism comes. Because ESG is about managing investor risk. It has come top down. That's not to say there are not good organizations out there, and there are not good organizations who were doing work before that. But as it stands right now, it has been driven top down, and there is greenwashing. And I think the skepticism for many of the students and the wide variety of stakeholders starts coming in when they think there's greenwashing happening. And that is something where this whole debate about how do you build that ecosystem or a just generation of managers and leaders who will be stewards of that of that world which thinks differently.
Great. We've got some more questions there. Yeah. If I can, please, if you can introduce yourself, you say your name, it'll help the panelists also contextualize.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Piyush Kumar. I'm a racer at FIIB right now. So my question is to Sumit sir, that when we enter corporate roles, we often won't be in decision-making position immediately. So at entry level or mid-management level, how can young professionals practically contribute to responsible business practices within existing systems?
So young professionals are the most important part of the business, because you bringing the fresh perspective, right? So that helps us looking into where the market is, where the trend is going. When we were students, many things were different. If you ask me, when I was asked to do a research, I will have to identify a library, go to the library, get the book out and start reading it. But you have access to technology, you have got all these Googles and AI. So you can start bringing in fresh perspective. Don't be afraid of giving views to the top management. Don't think that if you have got some views, it would not be respected by the management. You are more connected to ground. We are sitting at a higher level, but there's a saying that when you are inside the box, you can't read the label. So you are the one who helps us read the label, because you are from out of the box. Thanks.
Interesting. And also, if I could add, students, look, we are teaching you to have a voice. Use that voice when you get out there. I think that's what I'm hearing Mr. Sumit talk about, that don't think that you too junior, not my point, not my place. Use that voice if you see that happening. We've got a question, another question there.
Good afternoon to all the panelists. My name is Yash Bhuvania, and I have a question to all of you. With AI, climate change and social inequality reshaping market, what are the top 3 capabilities that you think tomorrow's responsible business leader like us must develop?
Personally, I think critical thinking and knowing your classics well. Critical thinking does not mean being critical for the heck of being critical. Critical thinking means developing a capacity to have judgment and make informed decisions. So you should have the information to make informed judgments. I mean, because AI is going to take over different forms of knowledge, but would you have the ability to make those decisions? I think for me, I think that's going to be a very critical part. It's a critical, knowledge, and not just for heck for criticizing,
I think one quality that you need to develop is emotional intelligence. Artificial intelligence is already there, but you are a human being. One size does not fit all, and only you can distinguish that. Because if you ask the same question to AI, you would get the same result. But one size does not fit all. That is where your capability would come.
Mr. Ejaz, would you like to share something?
Yeah, I mean, as you asked, with the growing pace, first of all, we actually have to have this, the intent wherein, we want to learn, we want to be there. Many a times we do face, things wherein, we are afraid that the AI gonna take our jobs, the AI gonna do this, this artificial intelligence is there now, look out for yourself. So there are a lot of different notions which are coming across. But having said this, and Sumit rightly mentioned that you guys are the newcomers, you guys are the fresh blood who you'll bring out new ideas. Now, one thing that I would like to suggest here, that one thing which is very important, and previously I talked about the ethics, and I'll continue with the same stuff here. Ethically, morally, you have to be courageous, because when you're stepping into a new profession, you have different people to work with, and definitely you will not get everybody to be very good or very happy going. So there would be different challenges, but understand the fact that you are at the space where you also have to have your own decisions, wherein you have to make those bold decisions. Understand where to stand, understand what to talk, and how to put forward your point in front of others. It may not be that easy to begin with, but yeah, slowly and gradually you will be able to get up to that level. Yeah, that would be my point.
Thank you.
And also remember that AI has its own biases, and something to be aware of that. MIT did a study recently which showed that AI is closer to what Europe thinks, how Europe thinks, and how North America thinks, than to how China. I mean, China is not even there in the consideration set, and India is not even there. So I mean, being aware of that. So you come back to critical thinking, humanness, being aware, having, sometimes I think what we are losing is even being able to stay in the moment. There are many other skills that you might need much more going forward.
Neni?
I also think that one complex or critical problem solving is definitely non-negotiable that everyone needs to have, not just students but also professionals or aspiring leaders. But also I think contextual humility is something that just by cadence of functioning or operating programs for the better or in sustainable management is missing. So designing programs and not knowing the context or sort of superimposing frameworks made in a classroom or a boardroom does not work. So contextual humility is something that's born out of immersion, and I think to an earlier discussion of what should be embedded in the classrooms, I would have loved it if we had apprenticeships or fellowships of 6 months, 7 months, or maybe an entire semester where we are just spending time in the field. And in liberal arts, it used to be the case when we were taught how to design research studies and make a thesis out of it. But now with AI and with the information systems already in place, that need is changing. So I think you can only be humble when you know what the other person is doing or feels or thinks and is living. So that would be it.
Thank you, Neni. Thank you to all the panelists. We've got 3 minutes on the clock, and while I had rapid fire questions for the panel, I think I'm going to flip it. I've got rapid fire questions for the audience. I'm going to very quickly, in 10 seconds or more, I would love the audience to tell us what did you take away from this conversation
whether it is about capability, whether it is about the kind of experiences, and you can even frame it as what would you like FIB to do more of, less of. Very quickly, we're going to go through this segment in literally 90 seconds, so quick hands up. If you don't get a mic, just speak loudly, we'll hear you.
Putting the best foot forward and being rational about what you're doing.
May I speak, please? Here, two things. Two things that I've taken away. A, for students to understand that how critical thinking is extremely important, and while working with AI, it is extremely important for them to develop their emotional quotient and understand behaviors. And second, for us as faculty to figure out ways how we are teaching them behavioral change inculcated in their formal syllabus.
I think what I've learned is that whatever we at FIB are doing and how our mission is integrated into societal impact is very, very important and needed at this point in time, and we should continue doing that. And the centers that we have and all the work that the centers are doing together needs to be amplified and exponentially, integrating students more for better learning. Students.
Thank you, sir. One thing I got to know is like EQ is as important as IQ it is. So thank you. This was one thing that I'll take away with me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sumit, Dr. Chandrika, Ms. Naini, Mr. Ejaz. It has been an absolute pleasure throwing some stones and just letting you do all the work and sitting back and let the rest of the students ask you questions. But I do want to close with this. At FIB this last year, we've had a whole set of achievements. And we feel very privileged with what we've been able to achieve. ASCSB, PRME champion, PIR rating level 4. The list is long, but equally we are feeling extremely, humility is high. We are also realizing that all of this is a privilege for us to be able to apply to these programs, for us to be able to win these programs. It is a privilege. We are sitting in a country where these things are very hard, and that privilege puts a responsibility on us, and we are mindful of that responsibility. We're mindful of the conversations we spark, keeping that responsibility at the forefront, and looking forward to many more such dialogues, conversations that truly impact the minds and the thinking of the students that are going to be taking this forward. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for engaging.
What an insightful discussion. A heartfelt thank you to our esteemed panelists for sharing their invaluable perspectives on responsible leadership, sustainability, and innovation. We deeply appreciate the time and expertise that each of you has contributed today. Your thoughts and experiences have sparked meaningful conversations that we hope will continue beyond this session. Thank you for those thoughtful questions and engaging responses. We now move on to the felicitation of our respected panelists as a token of our appreciation for their valuable time, insights, and contribution for today's session. We request our President and CEO, Professor Radhika Srivastava, Mr. Kamdar Sir, and Dr. Tavleen ma'am to kindly proceed with the felicitation. A huge round of applause for all the speakers. Kanchan, we just came from showcasing our projects at SIP Mela, the work we put our efforts on during our SIP. And it feels just a part of yesterday. The experience and learning was immense. I think for me personally, it shaped me from becoming a manager to a responsible manager.
Definitely, Rishabh. I did my social internship at PVNS, and during my SIP, we worked across multiple centers including Kirtinagar, Vikaspuri, Hanuman Mandir, Lajpat Nagar, and RK Puram. We conducted community outreach in nearby slum clusters to understand why some women hesitate to enroll or discontinue programs. We interacted closely with trainers, sanitation staff, and participants to observe operational practices and engagement patterns. We designed standardized pictorial training modules for trainers and sanitation staff to improve communication and confidence across centers. We also engaged in on-ground product marketing to understand how skill training connects to livelihood orientation. Our work focused on strengthening delivery systems, not just observing them. And just like ours, I guess each and every student here had a great story and experience to tell. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we now move forward to one of the most exciting segments of today's summit, the Best SIP Impact Showcase Awards, recognizing outstanding social internship posters that reflect creativity, commitment, and meaningful social impact. These awards celebrate the exceptional efforts of our students who transform their learning and field experiences into powerful stories of change through their posters. Honoring excellence in presentation, innovation, and impact, we will be presenting first, second, and third position awards. So get ready to cheer for our change makers. Let us begin with the announcement of the winners. I would request the teams to please come up on stage and also present their SIP posters. The second runner-up is from Pehchan NGO, Anurag Kumar, Anurag Nanda, Deepak Kumar Sharma, and Lakshya. We request Radhika ma'am to please felicitate the students with the awards.
A huge round of applause for our second runner-ups.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are Team 56. During our social internship, we worked in the NGO. Our NGO name is Pehchan the Street School. Their work is to provide free education to underprivileged students. Our work linked to UNSDG 4, that is quality education. Through teaching and content awareness, we reduce educational gaps and provide education, free education to underprivileged students.
During our SIP, we noticed there is a lack between, how the past volunteers have taught and from where the new volunteers have to continue, right? So for that, we have provided a solution in our case study where we can create two things. First, a student profile card, and second, a student progress report, in which a past volunteer will give the remarks that what he have taught to this particular student and where. And the new volunteers, when he joins, that he can continue from this topic, that where the past volunteers have left. So it will help in continuous flow of education, and this will really help the Pehchan street rules to teach the students properly from where they want to teach them. So thank you and have a nice day.
Now, for the first runner-up, we have team number 24 from Connecting Dreams Foundation, and the team members are Aman Mishra, Divyanshu Chandelier, Dipayan Ghosh, and Vaibhav Kumar Arya. A huge round of applause for our first runner-ups.
So good afternoon everyone. We were basically interned at Connecting Dream Foundation under Project Udan that focuses on empowering women by supporting their home-based micro enterprises. And under this project, women are guided in basic areas like branding, packaging, marketing, and basic business practices.
So the main problem statement we are working at there is the SHG women's are facing low market readiness to stable income. So we are working to improve their branding, packaging, and labeling to help them get market readiness and stable incomes to make their business sustainable. Thank you.
Now, the winning team. Team 23 from NAS Foundation. Goma, Harshita Singh, Pradeep Kaushik, and Abhinav Bansal.
So good afternoon, everyone. When we visited NAS Foundation, so we found that the peoples over there were not aware of PEP and PrEP pills. to prevent HIV. So we decided to work on that to measure the impact of what kind of level they were aware of these things. So we decided to go on their outreach files and decode what kind of service they are providing, and after that we make a Excel model sheet for them to get it more accessible for them, and all of these things that what we have worked, we are also included all of these things in our research article and case and full report.
So the impact that we created and what we taken back while working with NAS Foundation was that understanding that it's very important to understand the kind of medical insurance and the issues that the transgender community is going through. While growing up, I as an individual among my team, we used to think that there exists a glass ceiling when it comes to the gender fluidity. But while working with the NAS Foundation for 15 days, we got to understand that there exists no glass ceiling, and that what it takes to accept those people is giving them the right recognition and understanding the day-to-day challenges that they go through. And as our impact, we made sure that we bridged the important gap for their HIV prevention. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. So one of our main aim was to bridge the gap between awareness of PrEP and PrEP. So basically these were the two biomedical prevention technology that have been existing here, and we bridged the gap of awareness by building a database model, and through that model we extracted this outcome. My two key learnings were inclusivity and sensitization, because it was an LGBTQIA+ initiative under NAS Foundation. Thank you.
We are now honored to be joined today by our esteemed social sector organizations, partners, whose unwavering commitment to social impact and community development has been truly commendable. These organizations have played a pivotal role in shaping the experiential learning journey of our students by offering them valuable social internship opportunities. The vision of developing responsible leaders with a strong sense of social relevance. Through their engagement with these organizations, our students gained first-hand exposure to pressing social challenges, fostering a sense of empathy, accountability, and purpose-driven leadership. As a token of our appreciation for their dedication and invaluable contributions, we would like to take this opportunity to recognize their efforts through a special award ceremony. This is our way of expressing gratitude for their relentlessness pursuit of positive change and their role in shaping future leaders committed to social good. So starting with American Indian Foundation for advancing inclusive opportunities for their impactful initiatives in empowering persons with disabilities and marginalized groups through their education, livelihood, and social inclusion programs. We request Dr. Purnima ma'am, Dr. Sudhi ma'am, Dr. Gunjan ma'am, Dr. Sahiba ma'am, Dr. Ranjit ma'am, Dr. Shalu ma'am, and Dr. Shubhangini ma'am to please come up on stage to felicitate each of them.
Now we have Sajaya Youth Trust championing gender inclusion for their sustained efforts in promoting gender equality, empowerment, and inclusive participation across communities. I request Ranjit ma'am and Gunjan ma'am to accompany Purnima ma'am to felicitate them.
We now felicitate Vidya India with the Sustained Impact in Quality Education Award in recognition for their long-term commitment of improving learning outcomes and expanding access to quality education. I request Dr. Shalu ma'am and Dr. Shubhangini ma'am to felicitate them.
A huge round of applause for all of them. We now felicitate Connecting Dreams Foundation with the Excellence in Entrepreneurial Empowerment Award in recognition for their efforts in enabling individuals with skills, resources, and mentorship to build sustainable livelihood and enterprises. Now, I would request Akanksha ma'am to kindly accompany Purnima ma'am to felicitate them.
We now felicitate Evolver Solutions with the Outstanding Contribution to Advancing Inclusive Workforce Award in recognition for their role in creating equitable employment opportunities and fostering inclusive workplace practices. I request Dr. Sudhi ma'am to please felicitate the organization. A huge round of applause for Evolver Solutions.
We now felicitate Dream Girl Foundation with Excellence in Enabling Girls Access to Education Award for their efforts in expanding educational opportunities and reducing barriers for girls' education. I would like to request Sahiba ma'am to kindly come on stage and felicitate them. Guys, all of them deserve a huge round of applause.
We now felicitate Pehchan, the Street School, for advancing inclusive access for education award in recognition for their work in improving educational access for undeserved and marginalized learners. I request Dr. Sanal sir to please felicitate them.
We now felicitate Radio Udan for Excellence in Inclusive Media and Representation Award for their promotion of responsible, diverse and inclusive representation through media and communication platforms. I would request Sinha sir to kindly accompany on stage to felicitate them. A huge round of applause for them.
We now felicitate Lakshyam NGO with the award of Distinguished Contribution to Quality Education and Access for their dedicated initiatives in bridging educational gaps and ensuring equitable learning opportunities for all. I request Professor Vibhor sir to please felicitate them.
Students, there should be a huge round of applause for all of them. We now felicitate Eternity Foundation, sustained commitment to quality education, for their consistent delivery of impactful educational programs that enhance learning access and outcomes. To felicitate them, I would like to call upon stage Shardul sir and Anuj sir.
We now felicitate Samarthanam Trust for the Disabled with the Excellence in Inclusive Community Development Award in recognition for their leadership in driving sustainable community-led development through inclusive practices. I invite Professor Snigdha ma'am to please felicitate them.
We now felicitate AICAPD for their remarkable contribution to adaptive skill development, for their work in empowering individuals with life skills, vocational training, and adaptive capabilities for self-reliance. I would like to call upon stage Snigdha ma'am and Tavleen ma'am for their felicitation. Guys, there should be a huge round of applause for every one of them. I thank all of them to be a part of FIIB family, and for all of them, from every student of FIIB, they deserve a huge round of applause. Moving on to a significant movement of the summit, we now come together for the Sustainability Oath-Taking Ceremony, a cherished annual tradition at FIIB. This ceremony is more than just a ritual. It is a powerful reminder of our collective responsibility to lead with integrity, sustainability, and social impact. By taking this oath, we pledge to act responsibly, make ethical choices, and contribute meaningfully to a better and more sustainable future. To lead us in this solemn and inspiring movement, I now invite Professor Snigdha Malhotra, Head, Center for Responsible Management, for delivery.
Thank you. Thank you. The oath is for the students. There's a QR code on the screen. Please scan the code. Everybody will stand up, rise up for the oath. Yes. Thank you. I read the oath for you, but then you will, only the students, the guests can please remain seated. This oath is only for the students. You can scan the code, fill and make your pledge there, but I'll read the oath for you. Everybody phones down for a minute. I pledge to embrace sustainability in my personal and professional life through conscious actions and collaborations. In particular, I will adopt sustainable habits and behaviors, minimize waste and consumption, and support environmentally and socially responsible businesses and products. I commit to fostering an environment where every individual is valued and respected, regardless of background or identity. I commit to be responsible towards the organizations that I affiliate with, the environment and community at large. With this pledge that I make freely and upon my honor, I strive to protect our planet's resources, promote equity, and create a brighter, more equitable tomorrow for generations to come. Thank you so much. Please sign your pledge online. Okay, before we close the Responsibility Summit, we missed an award. We think Healing Himalayas team is here. May I please call you on stage? Yes, and can we have Purnima ma'am, Sudhi ma'am on the stage one more time for the award? Can we have a huge round of applause for them? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, our esteemed guests, students. Students, please be seated. Please be seated. Thank you. We'll have a quick lunch break, and then the social sector organizations will come back together for a roundtable discussion here in the auditorium. Our students will assist. But as we come towards the end of the 15th Responsibility Summit and celebrating our Founders Day, I want to thank each one behind putting this Responsibility Summit together. Thanks to each one of you. Thanks to admin team. Thanks to Marcom team. Thanks to Vibhor sir. Thanks to the SIP coordinators, faculty who has been evaluating SIP Mela since morning. Thanks to Radhika ma'am, Kokhil ma'am. Ma'am is not there, but in her absence, it feels empty, but special thanks to her for ideating. Thanks to Radhika ma'am for putting so much of effort. This is our 15th time we have celebrated, and next year we are getting ready for the 16th Responsibility Summit with a firmer promise, with better social internship projects that the students would do and good outcomes that we'll see together. Thank you so much to all our dear social sector partners. Thank you so much. We'll move for lunch. The guests will move for lunch in the executive lounge. Students will remain seated for a while till the guests will